was an early 20s group. So I was all fired up to talk to them about my circumstances. But one thing I've learned because of my current and just recent situation is that you're never too old, you're never too young to inspire, and you're never too old or too young to learn. And I'm sure that you will appreciate my story if it relates to something in your life, because at this age you're venturing off into a new career, and in doing so, I think that you might have a lot of questions. You might be wondering if this is for you, or if you've chosen something that you can be successful with. You might be anxious of I wonder if I have what it takes to do this. But before I go there, let me just give you a bit of my story so that you will. Let me just tie it in a bit. I'll start with a quote because I love quotes. People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. Thanks. So people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they create them. And this quote is by George Bernard Shaw. And this basically relates to my life. I grew up, I'm the fourth child from my mom, who even while I was in my teens, she was still making children. She has 11 children. At a young age, I left my mother's home to live with a friend of ours just to escape the abuse. Not physical, but my stepfather was very abusive in terms of his words and just that his hatred for us because we were not his children. So when I passed common entrance, I asked my mom to send me to live with my grandmother. My grandmother couldn't really deal with us because her son did not really appreciate us being there either, so we were pushed around. I ended up living with my mother's friend, who basically was poor too. And then even though my mom was supposed to be sending what she had for us, she was busy making children and not really able to sustain us. So I was 14 years old when I went there to live, and I was going to North Union School. And it was a difficult period for me because I was separated from my other siblings, and I was going to school without the necessary. Sometimes, no money. Most times, no money, or sometimes no lunch to eat, no money to even pay transportation. And I am telling you that if you really go back and you check the register, you will see that I was late 99% of the time for school because of the fact that I didn't have transportation money. Sometimes I'll beg, and if I see somebody who I think I can trust, I'll beg, but sometimes it's like myself is that I just needed to finish school. Between just moving from one place to the next, because where I was living by my friends, my mom's friend, she was another. So I was moving around. Eventually at 18, I got pregnant with my son, and I got him when I was 19 years old. His father was supportive, but he was running wild. So I decided I was done with that. And from 19 years old, I became a single parent. And I went and I didn't sit down. I went and I started applying all over for jobs. But everybody just is like rejection after rejection. And until I was 22 years old, I made a decision. But I heard about nursing. It sounded like going back to school, but at the time I did not know that they pay you to do nursing. So when I found out that they pay you, I said to myself, but I can't go into nursing if I have AIDS. So I went and I did the HIV test. I said, Lord, I said, if you make me HIV negative, then I'm going to change, I'm going to turn my life around. And when I went for the test, I was so scared because it's not that I was running around, but then I was exposed to the virus in terms of having unprotected sex. And I can remember telling one friend of mine that I went for the test, and he was saying, no, you don't have HIV. If you had HIV, you would have had a lump behind your ears. That's what, I mean, I was so ignorant, I fall for that, but it was comforting words because he was telling me if you had a lump. But the HIV test came back negative, and I applied for nursing with that. And went into the nursing. That was a lot of scared. I started saying to myself, I'm going home, I'm going home. But who was I kidding? I was living on my own in a one-room board house. I was like, I didn't have anybody to go home to. So, you know, it's like, they say, Ophi, I talked to myself, I said, Ophi, what's wrong with you? They have their mother, they have their father and everybody. Where you going home to? So with that, I said, okay, let me stick it out. So I failed 3 courses in the RM program. I failed the physical assessment. I had to redo it. I passed. I failed the management written exam. I redid it. I passed. And I failed, it was operating theater course. I redid it and I passed. I'm saying this to say that sometimes you don't pass at the first try, and you know, you have to give it another go. You have to put in the effort, and sometimes it's because of our own procrastination and our lack of focus why sometimes we fail. So you're going into this program here, and you see, I mean, they have a lot of different things you will have to learn. Some people learn at a faster pace, some people learn at a slower pace. I am a kind of in between, depending on what it is. I have to go slow at it. But it doesn't mean that you would not get there. You just have to be patient with yourself and want it bad enough. Anyway, after I finished the nursing program, I worked in hospital for some years, and I went to Georgetown Hospital. I migrated to Cayman in 2010. And when I got there, I went there with a goal in mind. I didn't want to just be a registered nurse. It's not that it's not a noble profession, but who wants to limit themselves when they can advance in any area? So I signed up for the online program, the master's program. I didn't have a bachelor's, but then I had to do a few courses. They offered me 2 ways of doing the course. One of them was to go to Jamaica, do 2 of the courses, English composition and history, humanities, and the other one was to sign up for Walden and do each course for, the first 2 courses for $1,300 US. Well, of course I'll choose the easiest one, so I went to Jamaica, not really knowing what I was going to expect, but I failed both courses. I failed both of them. I got back to, I didn't know at the time, but when I did get the results, I failed both courses. Very close, but I failed. And for a period of time, I was like sulking, I was crying, and the enrollment officer for Walden, she kept calling me, and she's like, Ophelia, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I was like, I'm not really interested in this. And then one day she called me and she said, if you don't sign up today, you're going to have to wait. And it was like a week and a half before the program was ready to start. And that spurred me into action. I said to myself, I'm not a quitter. I am not a quitter. So I signed up for the program. I didn't have a lot of computer skills. So I had my limitations. I signed up for the program, and when the program started, the English course, the first very course, I could remember going into the online classroom, and you think of an online classroom and you say, but how could they set up an online classroom? So I went in and I expected to see faces and just see something a little bit familiar, but when I went in, I felt so alone. I got scared. I panicked, and I emailed the professor, and I told him I felt lost, as if this was not for me, because at that time I was 32 years old. I said I felt lost. It's like, this is not for me. I'm in the wrong place. This is for people who are young and into technology. He responded and he said, Ophelia, don't be hard on yourself. And he quoted Ophelia in Shakespeare with Hamlet, and he said, be brave like your character name, Ophelia, when she responded to her brother and her father when they forbade her not to see Hamlet. And she was telling them, okay, they wanted a rosy way to heaven while they were trying to give her a thorny way to heaven. So with that quote, it calmed me down. And you should have seen the 4 set of PowerPoint and Word documents that I did. Man, they were horrible. They were horrible because I didn't have the experience. And when I sent in my first Word document, the professor said the font size is not the same, then there needs to be double spacing. I'm like, what is he talking about? Because I never even knew font size. That's how uneducated, about illiterate I was about computer. So it was it. So by the time but he said, don't despair, because and every time he gave me that encouragement, it just prompted me to just push further, So I went and I got tutorials. I did the necessary learning. And it's similar to what you'll be doing here. Everything that you set out to do, you have to be able to learn, to find the areas that you don't know and to learn about them. It's part of the learning process, because even if you have everybody here who will be telling you certain things, you personally have to take that responsibility to learn what you need to know. So anyway, with all of that, I am proud to say 3 years and 8 months after I graduated from Wallen University, I never skipped a course. With a master's degree, I never skipped a course. My lowest percentage was 92% in the course. 92%. I never got that again. That was for my English composition. After that, it was like from 96 to 100% with my courses. After that, I was still in nursing in Cayman Islands, but I needed to come home. It was a decision that I had to make. I needed to do my internship, and they wanted me to do it in Cayman, but I didn't want to stay there to do it because I had my daughter, and I was a single mother at the time. So it was very rough for me. So I asked for 4 months off. I wasn't granted the 4 months. My contract was about to be renewed. They renewed it for 6 months with no renewal because they did not want me to get my time off to come home. I took 3 months of that 6 months. I came home not knowing what I was going to meet. So I was basically coming home not knowing what was going to happen to me. All I knew is that I was going to try and get to do my internship. Even that was on hold. I just left without knowing what was, because trying to get to do the internship, that was a whole heap of political mess. So it's like I am home not knowing what I was going to do. Good morning. Eventually, I got to do my internship. So I finished that part of the internship in 2015. After that, I kept applying for jobs. To this date, I've only had one interview. One interview in all the jobs since 2015 when I graduated in March. So to this point, I've only had one interview. And that interview was for the lecturer at the School of Nursing, because that's what I'm qualified to do. They were impressed with my qualifications and background, but they gave the position to somebody else who probably was inside the system. So I was looking around even here and abroad and nothing. And besides that, I was dealing with moving from one place to the next, because when I came, I didn't have somewhere of my own to stay. So I was renting somewhere for $700. So I needed to move from that because it was too expensive after 1 year, and some of us $700. Anybody will be broke. But I was still surviving because I was tightly budgeting my money. Anyway, with that, so I was looking for a job, moving from place to place, and all of this mess. But you know what? In December, I moved out from the worst place I've ever lived in my life. and I went into a new surroundings, and it was almost Christmas, and I love Christmas. There's a spirit about Christmas that I just love. After the Christmas holidays, I sat down and I wrote a poem. I don't have the words of the poem here, but the concept of the poem is that it's every all years people are feeling excited because you're expecting a new year and you're expecting things to change for you. But how it's like you're going around a corner. The New Year's is like if you're going wrong. The Old Year's is the corner. But when you get around the corner now, you're expecting to see something good around the corner. But when you get to the corner, you realize that there's no change. So I sat and I said to myself, but this poem is relating to me because I was really writing it for my readers. But then I said, but this is relating to me because here I am. I've been 2 years and some without a job. And I'm doing this poem, but what do you expect to happen to you? So I said, I just have to do something different. So with that in mind, the 1st of January, I started doing things differently. I stepped out of my comfort zone because I had a blog going, but I was just hiding behind the blog. I was writing my experiences, but I was hiding behind the blog and not really relating to people. And I took a new town. I had a nice little place, so I said, okay, I can. My daughter kept pushing me, Mom, you need to do videos, you need to do videos. So one day I sat down and I said to myself, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to tell people about one part of my life. I think that video was, do not let painful experiences harden your heart. So I sat down to do the video. I was looking in front of this same thing, and I'm like, you should see me like trembling like a leaf. Because I was so nervous. It's like I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm so nervous. I did that first video, and it got like 6,000 and some views on Facebook. I had a lot of views, and people started reaching out to me and stuff like that. And with that video, I kept doing videos, and with every video, I became less nervous. I still didn't have a goal in mind. I just knew that I wanted to reach people, help people, and to heal myself because of my current situation. Until in March, my daughter said, but Mom, what about the book you told me about last year that you were going to write? You need to write the book. So I wrote the book, and I was laughing to myself, Ophelia writing a book, a children's book, and I laughing to myself and said, who are you kidding? And I was like, who are you kidding? But I wrote the book, and even I had it in draft. I gave it to a friend of mine in the US, and he read it and he said, but it sounds great. I said, okay, thank you. So I went through the process of publishing, of getting it designed, it was a whole heap of work, but I never gave up. I never gave up. Even when I sent it to a couple of the designers to put in the pages and they didn't do it properly, I kept looking for somebody else who can do it better. So I never gave up. And when the book was published, I still did not know what to expect. It's like you're following your heart because your heart is saying, okay, nobody wants you, so you have to. And it goes back to the quote: if you can't find the circumstances, you create the circumstances. So basically what I was doing, I said, well, okay, nobody wants me, so I'm going to find something for myself. And it's like I'm trying one thing after the next. I did a whole heap of stuff. I did internet affiliate marketing. I did travel agents, all of these in between, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. But when I got to the book and I brought the book to St. Vincent and people started responding to the book, it made me realize that, all of this was not in vain. And it doesn't matter if you spent 15 or 20 years of your life in one thing. If you have to start again, you have to start again. I spent over 10 years in nursing. If you add in the training, that's like almost 14 years. And when I came back here, I expected a job in nursing. And sometimes life don't go the way. By now you know that life doesn't always go the way how you plan, because you don't have control of your external environment. You don't have much control. Not from the weather, not from other human beings. You could build a big wall, but you still would not have control over all of your circumstances. But what you have control over is your inner drive, your inner desire to create something for yourself, even when you're not seeing the evidence. Because most times you don't see the evidence. You're starting out and you have so many questions, so many fears, so many anxieties, because you're not seeing anything that will validate what it is that you set out to do. But you don't need to see. Not outside. You just need to see it from the inside. You have to have that vision of where you want to go. That's what I know, because when I started writing the book, I said to I just imagined if in everything that I do, even the book, the master's degree, everything, even as a child when I was going to North Union, I imagined myself like sitting and talking to people. And Mr. Judge, you don't know, when you asked me to speak here, this was just falling into line with what I've been envisioning for myself. But I just didn't know when it will come. There was no evidence of it. But it didn't stop me from trying to do the things that I envisioned for myself. And that's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. They don't give up. Even if you change course, you change course. You're changing course, but you're not giving up. You're flexible. You don't know everything. You're gonna be. You have to be willing to unlearn certain things. Because for me, I always thought that success was like okay, I am from St. Vincent, so I cannot be successful unless I go to the U.S. And I had to change that mentality, because it's like a lot of people have, surprisingly, a lot of people have this mentality that if they go to the U.S., they will become successful. I said, no, you can't be successful. If you cannot be successful starting in your country, it wouldn't happen anywhere else, because it's not luck. It's more than just what is happening. It's what is happening inside of you. That's it, you know, and people don't understand. It has to be what is happening inside of you, because Rihanna, look at those Caribbean stars who went away. They didn't just go to the U.S. and started doing it. They were doing things in their own home country. Even the people in the U.S., Denzel Washington, you name them, Tyrese, you name them, they were working hard behind the scenes, doing their little things and trying. When we heard about them is when they became famous. But they were always, and it wasn't just, yes, the country will facilitate certain things. That's true. But you could take it from here and move forward. Success is available to every one of us. And our levels of success is different. What I want for myself is not what you will want. So I always say, don't focus on what other people are doing. You focus on your unique self. Focus on what you want for your life and not what. And do you know the thing is, you're gonna have people telling you, man, I don't like insurance. I tried it and it didn't work. So what? It didn't work for you. But that doesn't mean that it can't work for me, because we are two different people. So you have to be careful. The naysayers, I say, blank them out. And if they are around you and they keep talking, lock them off. I had to lock off some people. Because they thought I was living a pipe dream trying to write a book, and I'm wondering if I'm crazy because I left my job and came down. Everybody thought I was crazy, but then what's in your heart? Is it in your heart to do? Whatever is in your heart to do, I say go for it. I am a dreamer sometimes, but I'm also very real. You know, you have to be realistic. Because I wouldn't say, okay, I want to be an astronaut when I know I don't have any basics to go with it. You know, and that's not my whole goal, but whatever it is, if this is what you want, this is for you. It looks hard at first, but as you go each level, it becomes easier. You become braver, because you're always stepping out of your comfort zone And that's the most important thing. Me being here today, this is stepping out of my comfort zone. When Mr. George asked me to come and speak, I'm like, I'll do it. But inside I was like, Jesus, Lord, He's sending me to talk to people. And, you know, I'm here and it's comfortable now because I took the challenge. And I'm here, and one thing I've been doing, especially from this year, I've been looking fair in the eye and moving forward. So, and that's my message. I don't know if there's anything else I need to say, but that's my message to you. Welcome.
That means you're going to be joining the insurance industry.
Well,
You've made a success out of it.
I can do it if I put my mind to it. I can do anything once I put my mind to it, and you can too.
I would like to congratulate you
Thank
on
you.
your success. I told Mr. Drummond that you made me famous. I want to cry.
Yeah, well, this is the first time I haven't cried when I recounted parts of my life story, actually, because I think I cried to him last. Yeah, but it's not a victim mentality or anything. It's like, it's really hard to picture myself now and then, and I'm still emotional about it, but it's all good because you learn from your circumstances. Though your circumstances push you out of wherever you are, it should push you out, not keep you comfortable. Yeah.
Okay, so my first note that I made when we began to talk, as you get into your story, I asked myself, have you taken this to schools?
And
you have which schools? But
okay.
after you said that you just started, I said this was my first question I had.
Okay, that's a good question. Because I've always wanted to do that, but it's the opportunity. What I do though, I do it online. I have about since I started in January, I have about 60-something videos. I share my experiences and how I overcome them. I share different tips on breaking habits. I did similar discussion. I even cried in a couple of my videos but I just left it there because I really wanted to expose myself. Because the thing is, a lot of us, we're not willing to really let people see the real us, and it's a stumbling block to our progress when we hide our true selves. So I made a commitment to expose myself, tears and all the whole drama and all the baggage, and just be myself, because that's how people will really understand you and want to do better in their own lives. So, yeah. Yes?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Congratulations as well.
Thank you.